Everybody, Mega Ruler 31 back here for FSI DFS. It is Sunday, and yay, we've got a video. Sunday mornings are usually hard to do here, just with McKinley and my schedule, but I was able to squeeze it in before I'm off to work for a regular job. So hope everybody's enjoying this 4th of July weekend and celebrating responsibly and enjoying some hot dogs, some cold beers or sodas, and some Major League Baseball. So yesterday didn't do too bad. Cashed early. Milwaukee, even though they didn't score, and Pittsburgh actually scored more than they did. And Burns kind of let us down. Kirby was right on, back in form. So I was glad I trusted there. The Milwaukee bats that I did take, Yelich did get a home run there and has been improving. And I had enough with my fill-ins to cash. If you came back to the video, like I suggested, I did post stuff like just a little bit after 5 o'clock for the night slate. And especially if you looked at my FanDuel notes, your lineup probably scored over 200 points like mine did. And it was a really, really good night for that. So on to today, 9-game slate, no weather concerns at all, which is good. It's a slate that, as I look at it, I don't love it. I don't hate it. It's just kind of there. So we've got some pitching options, we've got some hitting options. It doesn't look like there's clear chalk. It's a kind of a blurry gray. It's not black and white slate. So let's dive in, talk it out, and maybe give you guys some inspiration as to who to play. So first game up, we have the Miami Marlins, Washington Nationals. 83 degrees, wind blowing in a little bit. You have Pablo Lopez, who is a decent pitcher this year. And we have Eric Fetty, who has had struggles at times, but with this Miami matchup with Jazz out of their lineup, hasn't been that bad. So Lopez, like, he was solid early in the year, and I don't know what's happened recently. His last 3 games, 11 against Houston, I get that, they're a patient team. 3.4 DK points against the Mets, I get it, they're a patient team. He played Colorado, but it was at home, and he had like 27, and then he went to St. Louis, which I get it, even though St. Louis has been striking out more here. He didn't do well there. So gave up 5 runs, 1 run against Colorado, 7 runs, 2 runs, 4 runs. So it's been about a month since he seemed to be right. So I'm going to put him on the bottom of the pay up list. I think Washington's still a good matchup for him. They only have a 3.96 total, so it's not like a huge total there. Fetty on the other side, like I said, he's had his struggles too, so I really don't have an interest in him. Miami, it's just not a team that I really like here without Jazz in the lineup. I think he definitely helps bring up the rest of the lineup, but they are relatively cheap, so I think you can sprinkle them in or play them as a secondary stack with a more expensive stack, especially if you want to pay up for 2 pitchers, because that might be a path today. Washington, same thing. They're just kind of a leverage stack against Lopez here. Not really cheap. Like, you got 2 guys that are like in the 5K range, so not super interested in them. Okay, Milwaukee Brewers and Pittsburgh Pirates. With the wind blowing out here today, 85 degrees in Pittsburgh. It's only blowing at 5 miles per hour, and it's a pitcher's ballpark, so that helps a little bit, but not a ton. You have Woodruff taking on, I see some sites have Quintana, and I see some sites have Thompson is going to come off the IL and make the start. Neither one do I want, so I fade both on the other side. I think both of them bode well for the Milwaukee lineup. The only thing that's slightly different is Quintana, if he is the pitcher, is a lefty, so it might make me rethink some of the bats. If that's the case, then I'm not looking at like Tellis and some of those guys. I want more like a McCutchen and Urias and Taylor and maybe Bruce Arias. So just have to see, but definitely Milwaukee's going to be a top stack here, I believe, again at 4.23. They've been doing well. Yelich, I think, is okay either split, but then again, I don't think Quintana is going to go very far, so the bullpen there, you probably has some righties, so if you do mix in some of the lefties, that's fine. But see what it is. Maybe it's to be an opener situation with Thompson, and then like Quintana takes over. So if I see anything, again, lock is at 135. By 1 o'clock, I'll have some notes to check back to the video into the comments, and if we finally figure out who the Pittsburgh pitcher is, I'll put it there. But right now, we're going to assume that it's Thompson and that we're targeting the left-handed bats, not the right-handed bats. Pittsburgh on the other side against Woodruff. I think Woodruff is probably the top pitcher on the slate, so I think they'd be a leverage stack against him. They only have a 3.27 total. Tampa Bay and Toronto, Shane Baz and Ross Stripling. Baz, he's a good up-and-coming pitcher. He's had his first couple starts have been solid, let's say that. So I think, in the cheaper range at 7.9, there's really not like a cheap pitcher that I really, really like today. So I think if you want to pay down a little bit at SP2, he probably makes sense. He started off against Baltimore, which is obviously a good matchup at 25 DK points. Against the Yankees, he had 6.9. Milwaukee, he had 19. He looks like he's going about 5 innings here, giving up about 1 earned run and getting about like 6 or 7 strikeouts. So not too damaging, not anything super exciting. About neutral splits here. So the righties it's not like he's like really, really tough against righties. And this Toronto lineup, of course, is a solid right-handed lineup, pretty much top to bottom. So I think that you're not going to see Toppy on the lineup today. It'll probably be like all righties because of the neutral splits. So Bass, I think, is playable if you're a cheap guy. Stripling, I'm not too excited here, even at 5.3. I think the Tampa Bay, he's like more of a not an extreme reverse splits guy, but he definitely is reverse splits, and the righties are better there. So I like the righty Tampa Bay bats here quite a bit, and they're relatively cheap also. There's really nobody that's super expensive. Like Franco's like 4.4 and Arenzo is like 4.7, but you could definitely make a decent cheap Tampa Bay stack here, and they put up some runs yesterday. So Toronto on the other side, I think, is the second favorite GPP stack against Baz, and kind of a leverage one if people are going to play him as SP2. Texas Rangers and the New York Mets, John Gray and Carlos Carrasco. Now this is like, in doing research and like looking around and seeing like what the buzz is on about like these pitchers for tomorrow, or for today actually, because it's Sunday morning. I put the information together last night, so that's probably still in that mode. John Gray and Carlos Carrasco. I like Gray on this side of the matchup, and I know that the Mets are not a team that strike out a lot and like are pretty patient and a decent offense, but it is in the pitching park. It is 84 degrees, so it's not like it's freezing cold there. But I think Gray is solid enough to be considered as an SP2, especially a GPP. If I just look at his like current form here, 7 innings, 5.2 innings, 7 innings, 6 innings, 7 innings, 1 run, 2 runs, 0 runs, 1 run. I mean, he had 1 5-run game against Cleveland, but then he faced Tampa Bay before that, 1 run, getting some strikeouts. There's been a couple double-digit strikeouts, but he's at least had like 6. So I think he's okay. I think he'll limit damage, and I think he's decent, but he's in a range of pitchers. Now, on the other side of it, I see a lot of buzz like for Carlos Carrasco. And this is what I don't understand, is his last couple of games, he had 0.4 DK points. He had -5 DK points. He faced Miami at 20. Before that, he had 8. So like in the last month, he's given up 605 earned runs, 3 earned runs, 5 earned runs, 2 earned runs. And for strikeouts, he's had 4, 2, and then he had a couple 7s in there. So Texas, I go, is a lineup that is better this year, not as bad as they were last year. They do have some strikeouts in the lineup, and so maybe Carrasco's better at home than he is on the road. But just based on his current form and Gray's current form, give me Gray, like pretty much in the same price range. There's a $500 difference here. So I really think that I like Gray. I don't like Carrasco, but I put Carrasco up on the board because maybe I'm missing something here. So I'll let you guys decide on that. As for bats, I think Texas makes a decent GPP stack, because if Carrasco is going to be in the same form he is and giving up all these earned runs, then definitely really think you could take advantage of that, especially with the lefties. Like Smith leading off doesn't have power, but he's got speed and can get on base contact. Simeon hits both sides well. Nate Lowe moving up to the 5th spot. Corey Seager, of course, would probably be the favorite guy there as a lefty. Mets, on the other hand, if you're playing 150 max, I think that's where I'd play them. With Nemo leading off there, Lindor, like there's some decent lefties here that you could put in like maybe mini stack, but I'm not really super interested. Atlanta Braves and Cincinnati Reds. Great American Small Park, but it's the wind's blowing in like 5 miles per hour, which isn't significant, but it means it's not blowing out, that is significant. So it's not going to really inflate totals here. The Braves do have a nice total at 4.97, almost 5, like second highest on the slate here. And Castillo's facing them, and he's got a 4.3 total. Charlie Morton for the Braves. I think Morton's okay. I know Morton's been shaky, but he's kind of seems like he's righted himself recently. And I think Cincinnati is a decent matchup, even though the ballpark is not traditionally a pitcher's ballpark. So I think he'll be okay. He had a little bit of a dip against the Phillies, but he's been solid before that, putting up like 30 DK points, 30 DK points, 25 DK points. And then he had a little bit of but it's like 2 earned runs, 2 earned runs, 0 runs, and then like had a whole string of giving 4 earned runs. Besides the last game, the K's have been there. He's been anywhere between like 8 and 12. So definitely, I think, if you want to pivot off of Woodruff, or if you want to go Woodruff and Morton, Valdez, we'll get to it, is in the discussion too. If you want to pay up for both pitchers, I think definitely in play there. Castillo on the other side, I think he's okay. Again, this Brave offense is scary. I think this is more of a GPP play because the Braves definitely can get to you, and that makes him my favorite GPP stack. But Castillo as a pitcher hasn't been like horrible this year. He had a shutout last time, like 4 earned runs, 3 earned runs, 3 earned runs. He is getting some strikeouts, at least around like 6 a game. So I should proceed with caution. I think the Braves stack is probably where I'd lean if I had to pick which one, but this might be, if you're playing multiple lineups, take a Brave stack in one and then play Castillo in a different lineup, and you could be right on one of them. So Cincinnati on the other side, I think it's just a leverage stack against Morton if he has some ownership there. New York Yankees and Cleveland Guardians. Yankees just continue to pound away. They had 2 big games, hit more home runs, Judge didn't, but they're putting up runs, they're winning games. I think they're like 14 or 15 games up on the rest of the division, which is kind of cool because if you look at it, Toronto, Boston, and Tampa Bay are all kind of like tied in the same like range, and if they were playing in the Central Division, then it would be like a 4-horse race with the White Sox. They'd all have like identical records almost, and it's just crazy that the Yankees have 14 games up on the rest of the division there. Now, a lot can happen. They're still not even to like the halfway point of the season. I don't know if the All-Star break is officially the halfway point, but but it's just crazy. So I think you always got to take in consideration to stack them. Jordan Montgomery, he's an average pitcher. He's a low strikeout pitcher, but he limits damage. So I think in here, I'd rather take Castillo, Gray, or Carrasco if he is going to be right for the strikeouts. But Montgomery definitely could be in play here. Cleveland Guardians on the other side, Travis McKenzie. I don't really like him. He's kind of a reverse splits guy too. And he so up against a right-handed lineup here, it's not something I'm super interested in because the Yankees have a lot of power from the right-hand side of the plate. So they'd be my second favorite stack behind Milwaukee and Cleveland. If you're playing 150 max against Montgomery, I think you're okay, but the Yankees have a really good bullpen, so nothing really excites me there. Baltimore Orioles and the Minnesota Twins. You have Tyler Wells and Devin Smeltzer. Both pitchers are cheap. I think I would like lean Smeltzer here. Wells isn't horrible, but the Twins have just been so good. They've got the highest total on the slate here. 82 degrees, the wind's blowing across the field, so it's like not gonna like help. Maybe a little bit of precipitation towards the end of the game, but I don't think it's anything. It's like in the 20%, so I don't think it's anything to really be worried about here. So at Wells, I put in my no interest list. If you're playing 150 max, if you want to sprinkle into your player pool, I'm fine with that. Smeltzer on the other side, like if you want to pay down for pitcher, I think he's someone that you could potentially look at. Like I said, there's really not any solid, cheap pitchers, in my opinion, today. But just looking at Smeltzer, he faced Cleveland 2 times recently and put up 20 DK points. Struggled at Arizona. Tampa Bay had 13. Struggled a little bit against Toronto, but against other bad teams like Detroit and Kansas City, he had 20 DK points. So like it's there. And even like with earned runs, like besides the one really bad game against Arizona where he gave up 6 of them, it's 1 earned run, 0 earned runs, 3, 2, 2, 0, 1, 1. So he's not really getting beat up. The K's really aren't there except for the last game. He had 9. You're looking at probably like an average of 3 or 4. So I think he's somebody that you can throw in there. He's just going to make value. He might get up a couple runs. He might get a couple Ks. He's not going to do a ton to help you. He's not going to do a ton to hurt you. He's just kind of one of those vanilla guys to throw in your SP2 if you want to try to pay up for more bats. So bat wise, like I said, Baltimore is just a cheap one here. Stack, but not like super cheap because you do have like some 4K guys, almost 5K guys, and Mullins and Hayes and Rushman's getting up there over 4K also. And then the Twins, I think definitely a third favorite stack. Prefer Milwaukee and New York over them. The Angels and Astros here, Jose Suarez and Framber Valdez. Valdez, I think you can take into consideration also here. He's a lefty against a power hitting right-handed Angels lineup with Ward, Trout, Ohtani there. So that's, and Stassi hits as catcher if he's in, which probably will against the lefty, hits lefties really well. So that's a little bit concerning, but Valdez does get strikeouts. He is a pretty big favorite here today for the win. So it's definitely somebody that you can consider. So I like him up there in the same conversation as Woodruff, Morton. Looking at his 0 runs, last outing was pretty good against the Mets. Actually, probably the best of his year. He went 8 innings, scored 27 DK points, had 5 strikeouts. But as I've said with Valdez, here's the story. He's going to give up 2 to 3 runs. He's going to get you 7 strikeouts. He's going to go 6 innings. And again, he's just a more expensive, higher producing version of what I said about Smeltzer there. He's not going to kill you. He's not going to break the slate. He's going to be a solid pitcher. It is a kind of a tough matchup against the Angels. So that's why I prefer Woodruff and Morton, but I definitely think he's in play here. Suarez on the other side, no way, not a good pitcher. Angels definitely are probably one of the top leverage stacks here against Valdez. And then Houston is a decent one, but I prefer Minnesota, Yankees, and Milwaukee. But, you know, if you want to throw a Houston stack out there or play them in cash, I have no problem with it. Final game here, we have Boston Red Sox and the Chicago Cubs. Connor Seabull making his second start. The first one did not go well. And then Keegan Thompson on the other side, who hasn't been bad. I think you can consider him as a cheap pitcher, but he's up against the Boston Red Sox. The only thing that's really good here is the wind is blowing in Wrigley, and it's actually kind of going to be cooler. So it's only like about mid 70s. So it's not like 80 or 90 degrees. So that should help with pitching. So the Red Sox definitely make a GPP stack here. Chicago, I think, are my favorite cheap stack, and I think I might try to pair them with Milwaukee in cash here because Seaball was really bad. He gave up a bunch of homers. So, and there's some power here. So if I can get up to Contreras, I really like that. Half the switch hitter. He seemed to have be reverse switch guy. So I really like the righties here. So Wisdom, Homer, definitely sign me up for Ortega, even the lefty here leading off. So has some power. So looking at the Chicago power bats against him. So that's enough going team by team. Let's look at some lineups here and get you on your way for your Sunday. So like I said, I'm taking Woodruff here in cash. Then I'm going to decide, am I going to pay up for Morton or Valdez, or am I going to take somebody in the cheaper range? And again, I want Tellis at first base. But again, we got to check and see who the pitcher is. Tellis might not be in there. If it is going to be Quintana there, who's a lefty. So first base there, you might have Herrera, and I'm fine with that. I'm putting him in place to Tellus. Second base, again, we'll have to see who's there. Wong will probably go in there, or you can take a one off. I don't think there's really a Cub that I want there. Wisdom, Adames, Yelich, Hap, and then again, you're going to have to look and see who's in there. You're going to take McCutchen, obviously, if it is lefty. If not, see if there's a lefty badge in there against the righty, or finish off with like the Cubs. Morale also. FanDuel, same thing. Woodruff, Tellus, again, that becomes Herrera if it's going to be Katana the lefty. Wisdom, Adames, Yelich, Hap. You can make a full stack there. Just figure it out, fill it in with the guys that are starting. And then for GPP, I'm going with Gray. I know there's so many other people, and I think I'm going to go with Valdez as my SP2 there, but you can go Carrasco, Montgomery, Baz. They're all in the same price range. Whatever one you think looks the best there, go for it. Catcher, it kind of all depends on where you go with your SP2, where you can go with catcher here, but I'm taking the Yankees, and then I'm going to take Tampa Bay against Stripling. And remember, he's reverse split, so you want the righties. So give me Rizzo, give me Paredes there, give me Diaz, Franco, Judge, and Stanton, and then fill in with you probably have to, again, might have to point catcher there, and then either take a Yankee or another Tampa Bay guy, depending on who your catcher and SP2 is. If you can get up to a rare Randy, or I can never say his name, especially this early in the morning, but Randy Arozarena. Also, you could probably play Harold Ramirez there too. He's pretty cheap, or like Hicks or somebody if you want to take the Yankee side of it. And then FanDuel, same thing. Gray, Rizzo, Diaz, or Paredes. If you want both of them, play the own utility. Franco, Judge, and Stanton. So thanks for watching. Again, have a great holiday weekend. If you have any questions, put them in the chat below. Reach out to me at Twitter at MegaRower31. Follow me, I'll follow you back. It opens up my DMs, and you can reach out to me there with more specific questions. Remember, can't approve complete lines for you, but if you want to know information on stacks or something, or like, if we miss a video for a day because life happens, and you want to know like what pitchers to potentially play cash or GVP, and what type of stack we're looking at, and reach out there. You can always join FSI DFS. All the information is in the details of the video here. So please give us a like. That helps us out so much. Share with your friends. Subscribe to our channel so you know that all our videos are coming out. And I will see you tomorrow for 4th of July baseball. I haven't looked at the slate breakdown, but we might have multiple ones. Sometimes they do that on a holiday. Sometimes they have like an afternoon and night one. So if they do, we'll bang out a couple videos or a combo video, whatever applies. But I'll definitely be back for that. So celebrate responsibly. Have a good time, and enjoy some fireworks, some baseball, some hot dogs, and we'll see you next time.